Today is May 5th, and that means Cinco de Mayo, Wolf, a holiday that celebrates Mexico's victory over France. But some, in the Battle of Puebla, I should say, but some communities have canceled or scaled back cultural events because of President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration and the fear among many Latinos that they could be arrested.
Illegal immigrants cancel celebrating Cinco de Mayo out of fear of ICE raids. Some Democrats are planning their own trip to El Salvador to check on criminals we've deported. Mainstream media is freaking out about President Trump's plans to have a military parade, and the left continues to play politics as a major U.S. airport suddenly lost communications with planes and pilots. Let's go ahead and start off with Cinco de Mayo. The fear is that ICE raids would happen, so some communities decided to go ahead and skip the festivities altogether. Yet, there's something here that we have to realize. If you're here in the country legally, there should be no fear to celebrate your culture and your heritage. The only ones that should be worried about being deported are individuals who enter the country illegally. But of course, mainstream media has to portray this in a way that makes the president look bad. Now, if you guys appreciate the daily news updates, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. You're not going to believe how CNN is covering this story. Watch.
Our people are scared, and he took that hard decision because, we lose money, the business lose money, but we have to protect our people, more important than money. And we see all over the country this picking up people with no record, criminal records, and honestly, it's horrible what we have seen in my 45 years I've been living here in the United States.
ICE says it has arrested more than 56,000 undocumented immigrants, 65,000 undocumented, 66,500 undocumented immigrants, and deported more than 65,000. How has all of this impacted your community?
When they see what they have seen in the news, what they have seen in the community, not only the news, they have seen the immigration department. So, of course, it's going to be impacted. And believe me, some people are already thinking about to go back to Mexico. We are in the sanctuary city, and supposedly we're protected. Yeah, we're protected from the state, from the city. The police department doesn't get involved. The state police department do not get involved. But does not stop the federal government to go and grab anyone. It's kind of terrible because immigrants give almost $100 billion. $100 billion would it be? It's not accounted. So it's that money, the federal government has that money, and they should give that money back to the people who they're deporting back to Mexico or to any other part of the country.
They're obviously using the story to try and stir up some emotions and for us to feel bad. But there's something that they don't talk about. They don't talk about American communities that have been impacted by millions of illegal immigrants coming in, people that have put a burden on our resources and our government services. I mean, just take this report from just a couple weeks ago. This is a good example here. So let's be honest, guys. The system isn't built for regular people. Big insurance and the government, they don't make Medicare easy, but Chapter is changing that. They go through every single plan, they explain what actually matters, and they help you find the one that saves you the most without losing your doctor or your benefits. Julie from Kansas, saving $400 a year. Jamie in Texas, $600 back into your Social Security. What could you do with an extra $600, especially in these high inflation times, right? Well, guys, Chapter started this because their own parents got taken advantage of. Now they are fighting back for all of us. You can give them a call right now at 909-563-8279, or you can visit them on the web, askchapter.org/Ron. And don't let the system win. To make things easier, I'm even going to leave a link for you guys in the description down below, as well as their telephone number. So here's what's happening in California.
So why is Medi-Cal over budget?
So according to the Department of Finance, we've seen a big increase in the cost of providing medical services, particularly in the cost of pharmaceuticals and other medicines. But we've also seen a substantial increase in the number of individuals covered who are undocumented individuals.
Starting in 2024, California expanded Medi-Cal eligibility to include all low-income undocumented immigrants. Republican state lawmakers pushed back against AB 100, saying, in part, this spending bill throws nearly $3 billion towards benefits for illegal immigrants with zero accountability for how costs got so out of control. Newsom has defended Medi-Cal's expansion, saying that making preventive care accessible to all low-income people helps save the state money in the long run.
Now, I want to show you a clip from acting ICE Director Todd Lyons. He directly addressed the fears around celebrating Cinco de Mayo and how the media continues to spin this narrative.
I mean, it's a bad narrative that's being spun in the press, right? It's a talking point that a lot of elected officials and a lot of other networks like to use. ICE is not out there rounding up people that are here legally. If you're in the country legally and you have not committed a crime, then by all means, go to a celebration. We're not, ICE isn't targeting U.S. citizens for deportation. This is a false narrative about what the men and women truly do in ICE. You know, and that is really what's taking away from our public safety mission, and it's taken away from our law enforcement mission. These false narratives are just not protecting the communities, but they're stoking fear when they don't need to. ICE would not go into a celebration like that and take any type of enforcement action.
Keeping in line with the story, some Democrats are now planning to visit El Salvador. So this is after the country made it absolutely clear that they weren't returning criminals to the United States.
Jeffries denies that he told Democrats to stop going to Central America. Others are planning trips, including a visit to Honduras.
I'm planning on going, and I think we should continue to go. So I think it makes sense for us to check on them, make sure they're okay. And at a minimum, since there's a multi-million-dollar contract with El Salvador to house these people, shouldn't somebody go take a look and make sure we're getting our money's worth for this?
Do any of you think we're getting our money's worth paying for these wages of these House Democrats? Now, of course, these elected officials don't see anything wrong with spending taxpayer monies to go overseas. However, it's pretty clear that liberals think it's a waste of money to give our military the flowers that they deserve. This comes after we've seen pushback from Democrats as President Trump plans the 250th anniversary of our military.
The president also told me that next month he's planning a military parade celebrating the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army that also falls on his 79th birthday.
We're going to have a big, beautiful parade.
A military parade?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We're going to celebrate our military. We have the greatest military in the world.
What's the price tag? Do you
People, peanuts compared to the value of doing it. We have the greatest missiles in the world. We have the greatest submarines in the world. We have the greatest army tanks in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. And we're going to celebrate it.
Now, it's just a coincidence that it happens to fall on the same day as President Trump's birthday, which has mainstream media in a frenzy. The double standard is just out of this world, and I have a clip from MSDNC to prove it.
There is this plan for the military/birthday parade. I'm curious, how do you think reporters should cover this? You know, are we just going to be standing there walking alongside the parade like business as usual? What are you going to do, and what do you think our industry should do to handle this and contextualize it in the most appropriate way?
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's a fantastic question. I'm sure that is a discussion happening across newsrooms in the country. I think first and foremost, everything with this administration, the reality is that context is king, right? You want to report on what is happening in the moment, but you also want to report on everything that surrounds it, understanding its place in society, understanding where it's coming from, understanding whether or not Donald Trump is, how truthful he's being about certain things. Obviously, the military parade is something that Donald Trump has been talking about since the campaign trail. You know, there are other countries that Trump visited when he stepped one foot inside of North Korea that also has things like military parades, right? So we kind of see the genesis of maybe where he's getting some of these ideas. But I think for our purposes as journalists, we have to do what we're doing day in and day out, which is speak truth without fear or favor of what this administration could do. And that's honestly telling people that, you know, it's not going to be free, that it's going to cost potentially $45 million is what estimates have said, that it would fall on different units inside of the Army, including the Navy, all those things like that, potentially taking away from money that's used for training. And just really all about how this military parade not just came to be, but its effect in the country and whether or not, it's something that Americans want to see on their streets.
Wait, they're worried about money now? That wasn't the case under the Biden-Harris administration that threw money away like it was nothing. I mean, just take Ukraine, for example. They sent hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine. The war's still going on, and they weren't even trying to end it. We also know that USAID gave millions upon millions of dollars to foreign nations and different programs that had no value for Americans. But since it's President Trump who wants to celebrate the military, all of a sudden it's wasteful spending. You also have to wonder if Americans would agree that it's completely fine to acknowledge our military. Let me just start off with our community here. Drop a quick yes in the comments down below if you think it's okay and completely fine for us to acknowledge our military men and women of service. Let me know, guys, because it is the 250th anniversary. Now, I'm willing to bet that a majority of people are probably going to say that our military does deserve recognition. Look in the comments down below and see what other people are saying. Well, guys, the great wealth transfer is in full effect. Our freedoms are being stolen, guys. Credit card companies are out to get us. And if you don't understand the game, well, you end up getting played by the game. Now, if you're anything like me, guys, you were probably out of shape, maybe in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and just feeling like the system is just completely taking advantage of you. I remember for a long time, I could rarely ever get any time to spend with my wife. And through trial and error and through a lot of pain, I figured out how to gain freedom and also lose a lot of weight and actually get in shape. And guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, that was a game changer. To no longer be living paycheck to paycheck, figuring out how to get the credit cards to pay me, the power of a strong credit score. I pay thousands of dollars less per year for the same house as my neighbor just because my credit is better than his is. And this is not to brag. I mean, but this is the truth. The banks are literally taking advantage of the poor. It's like the people who can least afford it, they're charging the poor what is like unofficially called a poor tax or a tax on the poor. I mean, I'm now at a point where, number one, I don't pay for credit cards. In fact, credit card companies pay me to use their cards. And I figured out how to build a lifestyle that is just ultimately very, very healthy. I lost a tremendous amount of weight and I put on a lot of muscle. But when I was struggling, I wish I knew people who knew these things. So anyway, I decided to create a community of like-minded people who are also interested, just like me, in living better. So if you guys want to join my community, it's called the Liberty Pursuit Network. It is brand new. Come on over. I'd love to have you guys and join like-minded people. Be positively motivated by others who are also on the same pursuit. So I'm going to leave a link for you guys so you can join me over on the Life Pursuit Network in the description down below this video. So check it out, guys, and let's not be a victim of this great wealth transfer that is taking place right now. But at this point, we have to admit that everything is political nowadays. It's something that we've seen with Democrats and legacy media, which is exactly why it is not surprising to see yet another huge issue turned into a political attack against President Trump.
All right, we are learning about a terrifying radar outage at one of the nation's busiest airports. Air traffic control at Newark losing all communications with planes and pilots last week, and Democrats are making it political.
We do know that the Trump administration has decimated the FAA in a variety of different ways. The Trump administration is breaking the FAA.
Last week's delays only made it worse by multiple workers now taking trauma leave of up to 45 days to cope with the stress of equipment failures. Retired Black Hawk helicopter pilot Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gaub joins us now. Good morning to you.
Okay, good morning, Asa.
Good morning. So we've heard that the equipment, according to the National Air Traffic Controllers Association, that it's antiquated. How long will it take to get new equipment and to fix this problem?
Well, it's going to take a while. Like any major government program, of course, there's funding, there's the supplying the equipment that is necessary, there's testing. All these things can take some time. And, I would say I would give it a decade to actually get fixed in total across the nation. And then that just means we're going to be operating off old equipment for a while. And unfortunately, also, it seems like this is just going to be one of those things that is going to turn into party politics like everything else does right now, with most people not even pointing towards what the actual solutions are that are needed.
Yeah, you heard Hakeem Jeffries blaming Donald Trump.
To be fair, there's a lot of blame going around on both sides of the aisle if we're talking about infrastructure. But what is confusing is that Democrats don't want to address them at all. And I'm afraid that they're going to do this for the entire second term of President Trump. So whenever something goes wrong, expect them to try and pin the blame on the president. But whenever Trump gets a win, they claim that it's because of the previous administration. Now, I'm not really sure how they're going to do this for very long. But speaking of which, I talked about this in a recent live stream. It looks as if our housing market is nearing a collapse. Now, there's also news that the IRS has probably seen its final days. So make sure you check that update out because things are about to get crazy. As always, thank you guys so much for your time. Appreciate you. Thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing. We'll see you next time.